Good morning everyone. Today really is the big day. I was able to sneak a little bit of a look yesterday at the boat. Went up there, got the security guard to let me in, had a little look around. But today I'm going to spend quite a few hours up there going through every little nook and cranny and see what we really think of it. Let's go meet this broker. Well, I was just emailing him, but it's closed right now. I guess I'll come back later. So guys, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't been to La Paz, Mexico, I'm sitting right here at the, it's called Club Cruceros, and it's the local cruising, sailing, boating club. They've got a lot of great information for you on the local scene, so if you're needing help with finding parts or shops to go to and so on to purchase your marine stuff, this is where you'd come and ask out these people. It's a little bit of a community, lots of events and so on held that they do. Oh man, the bugs are bad this morning. I'll give you a little look around so you can have a see. The marina here, it's a decent, this is Marina de La Paz. There's about probably like four, I want to say about 4 marinas here.
Good morning.
Tom?
Yes.
How's it going, mate?
Hey,
yeah.
I just saw your email.
I should probably tell everyone what kind of boat this is here. It's a Bob Perry designed originally. It's called a Polaris 43. It's almost a direct copy of the Valiant 40 that he was doing. And there's a lot of controversy around this boat because he designed it for a one-off for a gentleman that wanted it for his own boat, and he was told by Mr. Perry that this was not to be done anything else with because he had a contract with Valiant. He couldn't have this in production. The guy turned around and said, I'm going to start producing this boat, and then started producing it in Taiwan. So there was a number of them made, and I'm not really sure how many. I've heard anywhere from like 12 to 30 something of these boats were made, and I think they're great boats. The main difference with this is the raised freeboard here, so you can have completely flush decks. The Valiant had coach roofs that went down longer with lower freeboard here. It makes it beautiful. It'd be a lovely boat to work on with plenty of space to move and plenty of space down below to have people, which is why we wanted it. And the sailing characteristics for us fit what we like. It's not called, it'd be kind of borderline heavy displacement. I wouldn't call it a heavy displacement boat, but once it was loaded down with cruising gear, it would probably become a heavy displacement boat. So here's the chart table of what could be Hillary and I's new boat. I really like the boat. I really like the layout. It's a real solid boat. In a lot of ways, it's better than Varuna, and it's better built. It's a great solid hull, and it's a boat hull that's been proven, and it's a fast boat for its time and for its type. It's the first of the performance cruisers, the Valiant was, and this is in that same class. So there's nothing not to like about this boat, other than the work that we might have to do to it. And there's just so many more unknowns, and the unknowns is what's probably going to get us here in the end. Everything is very, very old on here. We expected that. I've nothing wrong with old. I don't know how I want to put that. Don't have anything wrong with old, but you can't really take that into account, 'cause really everything has to be redone. Some has been redone over the years. The most recent stuff I can really find from newer items put on or whatever is like 1996, so we're talking well over 20 years old now, and a lot of that gear's way behind that in the mid 80s. Here's the chart table and the nav station. We've got a nice weather fax up here. I like the weather fax. It's old school, but hey, as long as it works, that's fine. I don't think it works. I can't get some of the LCD readouts, so I can't tune it. It doesn't seem to work. You got an old circuit panel here. A lot of that doesn't work or is missing. And then just a bunch of other stuff I don't even really know. Nav station is a HF radio that I believe is supposed to be an SSB radio, but it's a different unit. It's not a typical ICOMS. This is, I don't even know how to say it. I've been saying it Yasu. But we do have a Pactor modem, so I would imagine that this has got to work. I mean, he was using this for WinLink. Pretty old school VHF radio here. Nothing wrong with old school as long as it works. So this here, I believe, is the engine-driven compressor for the fridge. It's not hooked up right now. There is easy access to, here's your raw water impeller. There's also the alternator. Come up over here. You can see I've got this companionway or hatchway, sorry, pulled away, which gives quite a good amount of access. Down here under one of these floorboards, you can see there's a really weird setup that I haven't seen before for the raw water in. So have a look at this. There's two through holes here of raw water for the engine. Both looks like 1-inch tubes. This one, if you can see right here, has got a pretty bad kink in it, which makes it, I guess, not really usable. And then it tees off, and both of those are coming in from two separate through holes. There's a through hole buried there, and there's a through hole somewhere over here. So I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that. Most likely it's leaking diesel. We can tell from around this, basically like a pipe fitting that's been threaded into the tank. So another interesting point back here, this is a nice little hatchway back here for storage underneath the cockpit floor. These stairs do come out. The other door opens up to give you more. There's some great stuff labeled here. It's very well labeled. This is the fresh water system here, obviously. It's very old. But in here is what I've got a problem with as well. If you can see all that, this is the batteries and this is how they're secured. Or rather not, so they're not secured at all, they're just sitting in here. I believe this may have been a recent job by one of the boatyards here in La Paz. I'm trying to find out more information. But either way, I consider that a bit of a rip-off. They've left the old batteries in. I'll show you that in a minute. But we've got, I think, 5 batteries back here. None of them are secured, and they're all sitting on a floor which is supposed to be access for all this area, including through holes and hoses back here. So you can't actually get to it because you've got hundreds of pounds of batteries sitting on it. We do have a really old school bloody German ducted heater over here. Love that. No idea if it works. Yeah, there's a hydraulic steering system, if you can see that back over there. There's the hydraulic steering right there. Now, I thought this would have been a saltwater pump, but I think it actually might be just a manual freshwater pump. I haven't really been able to test out the freshwater system. Again, I think the tank's dry. The freshwater pressure will not stay on, so I've got no water. Also, drainage. I've been hard to find the through holes. Some of them are behind under the batteries, and a lot of the through holes, all the through holes would need to be replaced. They're pretty frozen. What we really like about this boat, of course, what you're probably going to find on any bigger boat, and a boat of this age, it's beautiful inside. Beautiful salon. There's a step down right here into the main salon, and there's just so much space, so much headroom. I think the beam on this is close to 13 feet, and basically from storage cabinet to storage cabinet or to the hull, there's probably well over 11 feet right here that's not closed in. This is easily a double berth here, which I believe has got some, I don't know if it's a lee cloth, there's kind of some slats that pile in here to probably keep you in. Well, once again, I harken back to, you can tell the era of this. We've got an old school, probably, early to mid 90s, probably early 90s I'd say actually. Sony, like stereo system, 2 double cassette players so you can do your recording between the two, and a CD player as well. Old school CRT telly, and in here's a nice little VHS. Don't have any VHSs. But we love the storage. More storage back behind here. And there's storage everywhere. Plenty of storage. Nice double leaf table that comes up. Look at that. Old school kerosene lantern still. Love it. Don't know if I'd really ever use it. Important stuff though. Compression post. Again, I think this is a newer item. It looks in good shape from what I can see, and I don't really see what looks like much water intrusion around this area here, which is good to know. Behind this door, which closes off the forward cabins, you've got a separate access point. Hey, g'day. Separate access point right here to a nice separate shower. Now, I love it. It's an amazing shower. I think it's bloody perfect. and it comes in right here to the head. Now the head's been changed out for an electric head. So I haven't been able to get the through holes open to test out the head for the raw water in or the seawater in. And the 2 through holes for overboard are extremely solid as well. I'm able to move them, but I feel like they could break. The drain for the sink right here smells bloody terrible. There's a towel that someone stuffed in it right now. I think it's just been sitting forever. It doesn't connect to anything. It goes probably like 2 feet from the sink straight overboard. There's no proper sewage piping used or anything like that. So that would all need to be replaced, along with every through hole on the boat. Did I mention that? You know, another great thing about boats like this that I really, really like is that all these floorboards come up and they're very spacious in between. There's no, like on Varuna we have very tight, probably like 1 foot by maybe 2 feet if we're lucky, fiberglass spacings to get into the bilge area. So this is completely open, all these boards come up, and that's great. That's what's stuck. Well, you're not going to be able to see much here because it's covered in everything. This is a Pullman berth. This is where Hillary and I would be planning on sleeping, but on second inspection, it doesn't actually look that large. We thought this was a larger area than our V-berth on Varuna, and I don't think it is. Then we had a thought of doing the V-berth. Can't do the V-berth. So besides the V-berth basically being turned into a little bit of a workshop with a heck of a lot of sails, but there's only, from this bulkhead here to the bulkhead forward, it's probably like 4 feet, so not enough to sleep in, even if we put an infill in here. But there is a huge chain locker. The chain comes all the way back down to here. And there's a huge, forward section of the chain locker as well. A lot of really great storage on this boat. And when I was talking about it being old, there is a good thing with this too. This isn't a hoarder's boat by any means. There is a lot of really useful stuff on here. All the stuff that, you know, sometimes can be junk, looks like it is pretty useful. I don't think they've been holding on to things that are no good and not really working anymore. At least from when the guy was last here that was able to sail this out. Now, I did forget to show you over here behind the Nav Station, there is a quarter berth, which we like a lot. So there you go. Now, earlier I was talking about the battery issue that kind of has bothered me a little bit. So this is what bothered me about the battery issues. When those were replaced, as far as I know, a year ago, there's 3 batteries under here, which looks to me like probably was the original battery bank. There is a little vent section down here and so on. And in here there's, I believe, 3 lead acids in here. They're all still wired in. There's no cut-off ends. They're all wired to terminal blocks and disappear off somewhere. They have no water in them by any means. They're completely bone dry, completely corroded up, completely useless. Whoever was paid to do the battery swap, these never got removed and recycled. They've been left there to just continue rotting where the battery should have been. And now instead we've got these bloody batteries sitting unsecured in the back area where I can't get to through holes. That to me seems like a really bad, really dangerous idea. And if that was a boatyard that did it, I'd be pretty bloody pissed off. So let's get to the real issues that are concerning us with purchasing this boat. It's becoming, like most boats probably, more and more projects as we look into it. More than what we really wanted and what we thought we were going to do. Now up above me here you can see on the coach roof up here, that we got a lot of cracks. This entire roof actually is covered in cracks. So I'll give you a close look here. Now originally I was just hoping that this was a high gloss kind of gel coat that's cracked in the heat and so on. There is one little spot over here where I can actually see into it, and it does look like the crack is in the fiberglass. Here's one little spot that I can really see here, and you can see the crack is actually back in through the fiberglass. That all leads me to think that there is issues with the fiberglass coach roof here. The deck's the problem on this boat. That's what we knew in the first place. Let's go check it out and I'll show you. It's a gorgeous boat. So what makes a boat gorgeous? What makes a boat look like a boat? I'll tell you what, it does it for most people. And it's this. It is an absolute ridiculous amount of teak. It looks bloody amazing. But as most people who have ever had a boat with teak on it know, or most people that are looking at buying a boat with teak know, it's a nightmare and it's going to cause a lot of problems over time, and it has on this boat. What does this mean? Well, on a lot of boats, on the majority of boats, they're built with what's called a core deck. So there's a layer of fiberglass, something in the middle, which a lot of times is a wood or a ply or a balsa, and then on top of that another layer of fiberglass. You get the same strength, but you're not putting layers and layers and layers and layers of fiberglass, which would have been more solid. Unfortunately, you get any kind of water intrusion into that, it just slowly rots away the wood inside. And it does what you saw there, it becomes mush, and it's extremely soft, and basically there's no wood left in there, it's wet mush. And this is where we're in Baja, where it's dry as, and this boat's been here for probably close to 10 years. It just doesn't get out. Now the problem with these teak decks here, it's attached by 100,000 bloody million screws right into that deck, into the core. Over time, the teak expands and contracts, the caulking comes apart, the screws and the bungs covering them lose their sealing, and the water goes in through there, dribbles down, and slowly over time dribbles into that core, rots it out, and it makes the deck lose all its strength and integrity. And you either need to go in there and cut out section by section, which is quite doable, and we've watched a lot of people do it. I know Mads on Sail Life has done that with his boat Athena, and we've watched a lot of Andy do it on Boatworks today as well. This would be the entire deck we would want redone. We're quite happy to do it and take on that project ourselves, but if we combine that now with a lot of the other projects we see on this boat, it's becoming less likely that we want to go ahead with the boat, which is really unfortunate because we like the boat. It does look like it's a newer windlass on here. It looks in good shape. Of course, another really important thing on sailboats is the standing rigging, which keeps your whole rig up there. This actually looks good. Now, I've had people tell me that they didn't think it was good on here. The rigging though, there's no meat hooks on here, no wires sticking out, no pitting that I can see, nothing that I can feel, even run my fingernails over it, feels really smooth. The other thing is these are not swaged fittings, they're, I think they're called Norseman fittings, similar to Staylock ones and so on, so they're easy to replace individually as well, so you can just order the wire in and replace them relatively easily. But yeah, the rigging looks good from my untrained eye. It does have chain plates and shrouds that are on the outside of the hull. In our book, the chain plates on the outside of the hull are a really good thing. They're accessible and easy to see. And the mast step here all looks great too. It's a deck stepped mast. There's a couple of spinnaker poles on this boat. 2 little solar panels back here. Not enough for us. We'd have to figure out a way to do it without changing the design. It is a nice double ender, or like a canoe stern boat. Look at that. There's Dan the second right there. Nice little Aries wind vane. You've got storage lockers here. Storage lockers on either side here as well. Beautiful little helm. The instruments that are currently on here are old as well. These are probably the newest. These are mid-90s, so well over 20 years old. And they work probably enough for us because we'd rely on our open CPN anyway. Look at these winches though. Most of these are all non-self-tailing single speed winches here. This one here has been converted into that electric winch I told you about, which is interesting, and I don't know how an electric winch works. Now I've got to ask you, have you ever seen a winch this bloody big? Look at the size of that. That's my bloody hand. That is a giant winch. The only 2 self-tailers are these little ones on the outside, and again, that's one of them is that electric winch or powered winch now. As you can see, the winches are covered up and they're in really good shape. Now, another thing that we both like here is this cockpit. We've gone away. Originally, we really liked a larger cockpit, and we've actually gone away from that now. We believe it takes away a lot of the space below, which is why we don't have quarter berths and so on Varuna. And it also takes away some of the storage. Our storage on Varuna are just deep lockers, which makes it difficult to really kind of organize stuff. This is really good underway. It's a very deep footwell, so a lot of room for water to take on water in heavy seas. And you've got 4 scuppers there as well, draining overboard. And then even above the seat, you've got another little lip before you get to the companionway. So I think this is a really great seagoing boat and cockpit. Really secure, easy to brace yourself in. We do love that. We love everything about this boat, this designer boat. Oh man, I tell you what, I'm up and down all day here on if we go ahead with it. We could get this for a really good price. A really good price. Do we want to put in probably 6 months at least? Probably a year. It's worth its work. Maybe quicker, but I'd like to say it'd be close to a year so we don't underestimate. But there's just more and more things that are adding up. For the price we get it for, it'd be a good bargain. Just be a hard yakka, mate. So you're probably asking, what the hell were we thinking? So our original plan here was we knew these decks were going to be the breaking point for us. And we were quite happy to put in the effort. We got some people to give us quotes on getting the teak removed. And it's an easy job to do ourselves even, to remove the teak, okay? Now, removing an entire deck, which is what I think it would really come down to. From other projects I've seen on this style of boat, this complete deck core would probably realistically, to do a proper job, needs to be replaced. We don't want to half-ass it if we're doing it. You probably get sick of hearing from me now. Not enough Hillary, but she stayed with Varuna down south, and she was going to meet me up here because we've got an accepted offer on this boat. We just need to sign off on it, and I'm feeling less and less likely on doing that. Time to chat with her. So where does that leave us? I have no idea. We really like this boat. That's why we came all the way back. It's a great boat. The wiring, bit of an issue. It's not old wiring, but it is older wiring. It's relatively neat, but there's a lot of stuff on the boat that has been changed and taken out over time, and the remnants have just been left on the boat. So now you've got a mix of old hoses and stuff that are connected to nothing, or connected to something on one end and nothing on the other end. So it's just a lot of time consuming going through and tracing each system out. That's easily doable. It's the big, expensive, ongoing problems and the unknown problems. We wouldn't need to do it. We could take off and just sail this boat today. But we want a boat that's going to last us a length of time. I don't know. There's things we need to do on Varuna too at some point. We need to redo the rigging at some point. We need to get new sails on Varuna at some point. So those really come off for a wash on this boat. This boat is going to be more about time and learning and hard bloody work in a hot yard. The deck issues will be done again where we were last time in Mexico, where we don't have a covered shelter and we don't have a nice climate controlled area to work on it. So we're dealing with dust storms and rainstorms while you've got a fiberglass deck opened up that you're trying to get dried out. It needs new refrigeration. We know that. This refrigeration's old. I'm going on forever here. I feel like I'm just going on. I'm going to have to call Hillary and we're going to have a serious discussion about this. Stay tuned, guys. Hola. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling less and less likely. I think there's just so much that we don't know that it's going to be so much hard work, and it's going to be like, we're going to end up like some of those others that have stayed in the boatyard there for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what we want to do, then that's fine. I think taking the boat to Guaymas is probably fine, but risky. Wasn't that fun? Well, there she goes. Will this be the last time we ever see her? I think Hillary really wants it. It's a really nice boat. Lots of work. Oh well, time to grab an Uber back into town. I need to bloody shower off. I'm so hot and sweaty, and I need a bloody drink. Hola.
Hola.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Thank you so much for watching. To make sure you never miss out on an episode, click the bell and make sure you're subscribed. If you enjoyed the episode, please give us a thumbs up. Until next time, adios.